So yeah, fear. Oh my gosh. Who amongst us doesn't live with this on a daily basis? It tends to be defined as an unpleasant feeling that's triggered by a perception of danger. And note the word perception. So fear can be real or it can be imagined. And the result of fear is that it typically results in avoidance or aversion and the loss of courage. So it robs us of our courage and our ability to take action. And what I'm really hoping is that by the end of this part of the stream today, before I start playing games and we stop just chatting, so to speak, I'm really hoping that we will have a better definition of fear, one that helps us engage with life and sustain our courage. And I'm also going to take us through an exercise that will help us master our fear. And I do not say mastery lightly. It is an amazing exercise that I was super happy to find. Hey, hello, the real Chino Moreno. Aloha. Hi, Eddie dude. Welcome, you guys. So happy to have you today. Very nice to meet you, the real Chino Moreno. That is quite a name there. It's very long. I will get better at it. Aloha. So I don't say mastery lightly, but I do have a cool exercise to show you, and you can do it with us today, or you can just, take it in. At any time, you guys, you can also just email me at info@punchlifeback, and I can send you the worksheet that comes from today's stream if you want to do any of this work on your own later, or just to see my notes for the day. So you don't have to take notes, you don't have to worry about any of that, you can just be present. So first off, fear, completely natural. We all have it. The only way you're not going to experience fear is if you have some sort of disorder in the brain. Because it is just universal to human nature. And without fear, our species totally wouldn't be here, right? It's the thing that helped us survive the very real dangers in the wilderness. So erupting volcanoes, saber-toothed tigers, poisonous flowers, all other violent human beings. Fear is super valuable, super, super crucial. The problem is, in our modern day world, most of the time the fear we feel is, we perceive it as life-threatening, but all that's really being threatened is our self-image, or our idea of self-worth. So we tend to overreact to social situations, right? Other people, things with other people who could judge you, can induce high levels of fear, even though your life is not in danger. So even though our threats are minimal, we perceive them as maximal. And that's just not conducive to living an awesome life. Living an awesome life. Just gonna put it right there. So I'm not gonna get into PTSD or anxiety disorders because I am really not qualified to do that. My background is life coaching. I am not a therapist or anything like that. So I instead talk about things on a general, right? On a general, as applies to most people kind of scale. So I'm talking about the run-of-the-mill, overblown fears that we all have that tend to hold us back in our lives. You don't experience any fear? What? The real Chino Moreno? Is that what you mean? Because you sound like a god to me. I have not met a true fearless person before. So if you are truly fearless, I'm gonna want to have a big conversation with you to like get your insights and your wisdom. Wow, only spiders. Man, I'm like just trying to put myself in your shoes and imagine what life would be like. Only being afraid of spiders. I mean, I'm pretty jealous. Like, life feels easy in my brain. I'm sure you have your struggles, but I'm like, man, without fear. My life would be like, what would I do if I had no fear that I'm not already doing? Wow, I bow down. I bow down for sure. I am sure it brings with it a whole new slew of experiences in life that I can't even, and like challenges I can't even like get there because I'm so far removed from where you're at. Very cool. So yeah, it'll be particularly fun to hear your thoughts on what we're going to talk about. Yeah, so where was I? Okay, so I thought a really fun way to do this and a really helpful way to look at fear is through the eyes of Stoic philosophy. So Stoicism, because they have a lot to say about mastery of fear. And that's because according to the Stoics, we can't control external events. The only thing we can control is ourselves and our responses, and that's where the ethical imperative is. So they, like thousands of years, right, of exploring, of years of exploring what it means and how to self-regulate, which is super cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna totally butcher this name, but Epictetus, Epictetus, is a classic Stoic. And he said that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. And I do find that to be true. Like there are some controls we have of our external, like I have air conditioning I'm turning on right now. But for the most part, there are a lot of things in life that we really truly have no control over. But we always have control over ourselves. So the Stoics are masters of mental strength, which, as I was saying, I believe is our single most important strength that we can have because it governs the thoughts between our ears and thus it governs our lives. So it's the key strength we have to engage with our fear. So there's Seneca, who is another and very famous classic Stoic, and he said that the mind is anxious about... the mind that is anxious... I don't think I wrote this down right. Oh, no. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. So the mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. And the reason why I thought that was worth mentioning is because that's how I experience my daily fears happening. Like if I get really curious and I'm able to catch my thoughts, the thoughts that are generating my fear, I'm imagining a scary future event. And then I get all worked up over it. But the only thing we actually need bravery for is the present moment. Because that's the moment we're actually in. So by shifting our perspective to the here and now and like dropping the future thinking and just getting connected now, then bravery becomes a one moment at a time action. And I mean, come on, we can all be heroic for a moment. So it's just a moment, one moment at a time, which I thought was a pretty cool shift in perspective. So the real Chino Moreno, what am I scared of? So I, like on a big picture, I'm definitely scared of wasting my life. I am really motivated about living fully and like unleashing my max potential. On the smaller scale, like I am afraid of losing loved ones. I think about like death probably, I don't know, I haven't seen a study, but I think way more often than most people. So I'm definitely afraid of dying, and I'm afraid of losing people that I love. And I'm like totally afraid of humiliating myself and feeling embarrassed. Like the feeling of embarrassment may be the worst feeling imaginable. So that stuff, totally scares me for sure. So there's a modern Stoic that I came across through a Timothy Ferriss TED Talk that I'm going to mention in a second. And he's a Polish immigrant. He's a bodybuilding champion. And he says that easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. Okay, so easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. What does that mean? Okay, so the hard choices, the scary choices, the tough conversations, the emotional risk-taking demanded of us, okay, usually lead us to what we most need in life, or what makes us happy and gives us meaning. So I talk about this a lot, but the stuff that gives us the things that make us feel like we have an easy life, like fulfillment and joy, they're all outside our comfort zone, and they all require us to get afraid and to risk. But when we hide from all of that stuff, we deny it, we turn away, and we choose like the easy path, life is hard because we don't get what we need. And that's what he's saying. And I think that's beautiful, and I think it's true. So I'm curious, you guys, when have you chosen the easy path, and what do you think that cost you? And I'm thinking about this for myself too. This is such a silly example, but it just came to my mind. So when I was first starting as an actress, I was like, as a professional actress, I was 18, like fresh, moved back to Southern California. I kind of grew up there. Anyways, I had the opportunity. I got a call to, like, I'd signed up as a background performer. So that's somebody that has no lines whatsoever. You just like walk in the background, and like maybe people will see your backside or the side of you. Like, you're never identifiable. But I got a call. They actually wanted me to be featured as like a girlfriend in the show Malcolm in the Middle back then. And it was like a huge opportunity, one that I like didn't feel ready for, and I panicked and I turned it down. And but it was not easy to turn down, and by that I mean it wasn't easy because the casting director wouldn't let me do it. Like, the conversation felt like it lasted forever on the phone. The person was always like, "Are you sure? Do you realize what you're doing? This is such an opportunity, blah, blah, blah." And I kept having to say, "No, I can't do it." And I had to keep coming up with like total bullcrap excuses for why I couldn't do it. So I definitely chose the easy path. And what it cost me ultimately is, one, that would have been a really cool adventure to do. I would have met really fun people. I would have experienced a professional set way sooner than I ended up doing as an actress. But I think long term, it's just cost me a little bit of heartache, because I look back on that and go, oh man, I missed a really cool life adventure. Like, what a story that would have been. No, I totally didn't say no because of a guy. I said no because I was insecure of myself as an actress. Yeah, no, I would have been fine playing the part. I just was afraid to play the part. So, yeah, I mean, these things, like, at the end, like, because of my own fears and how much I value life, like, I don't want to leave anything on the table, right? Like, I want to die fully spent, and I didn't fully spend myself on that adventure, and that's always going to kind of be a little bit of a regret, probably. So, going back to this idea of being happy, oh, thank you! That's so nice. No. I don't know why. I did a little happy dance, but I'm happy. Yeah, okay, that's actually perfect, because what I was gonna say is that human beings need connection to really thrive and be happy. And so I just got a little dose of connection from you, right? And that made me happy. So, like, real, like, substantial connection in life comes from, like, intimate relationships, right? Like, important relationships. And I just want to say the bitch of intimacy. I'm working really hard on not cussing, and I'm having a very hard time. That's a whole separate conversation. Very hard time not cussing. Like, that was the only hard edge I had to me as a person. And now I'm not doing it. I'm not quite happy about it. I'll have to think about it. All right, I'm mumbling. Okay, so the bitch about intimacy is it's a really risky endeavor because it requires two people to be vulnerable with each other, or four people to be vulnerable with each other, right? Like, it's one of the most risky things I think we can do. Like, emotionally risky things we can do as human beings is to get really intimate with someone. So, Epicurus, another classic Stoic, said that you don't develop courage by being happy in your relationships every day. You develop it by surviving difficult times and challenging adversity. So again, there's this like repeating pattern of like mastery coming from facing the hard stuff and like going through the hard stuff. And this is true for sustaining relationships. Like anything that is like, again, like anything that's worth anything requires us to do the hard stuff. Hard things, easy, or hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life, right? So to have a life of meaning and ease and to have healthy, like really rewarding relationships, we must master our fear. And I so wish there was a workaround. I mean, I say we have to master our fear, but like the real Chino Moreno, I don't know if you need to master a fear of spiders to live an awesome life, right? But for the rest of us, I wish there was a workaround that mastering fear simply meant that you could take a detour to the left. But like, I can't say that. Like, there is no detour that would give you the life you dream of having because there's no way around the difficult emotions. Like, we have to go through them. Blah, blah, blah. Awesome. So, this is where I found Tim Ferriss's Stoicism-inspired TED Talk. And let me see if I can get... I was going to get a link for you, but that's going to take a long time. I didn't prepare it for today. You could totally find it if you just type it in. I think it's Plan Your Fears or something like that. A Christina Applegate stunt double. Yeah. That would be an amazing job. That would be an amazing job. No doubt. And totally, totally fun. So his TED Talk was super cool. And it's based on a Stoic principle called the premeditation of evil, which is a very fancy way to say decatastrophizing the fear. So you, like, the essence of premeditation of evil is that you would, like, have a brainstorm dump of all the absolute worst things that could possibly happen to you around your fear. And that ends up setting a chain of intellectual steps that sets you free of the fear. So I'm gonna dive into that now if you want. Not if you want, I want. So I'm diving into it. If you want to do the exercise, you're gonna want some paper. But like I said, you could also, it's a long exercise, so I'm going to be cutting sections of it short because I do want to get to playing a video game. Awesome. I just think being a stunt double would be so much fun. Like, I do know stunt people, and, like, they have a very high rate of injury. But they do seem to have a lot of fun. Like, they work very, very long hours, for sure. For sure. Yeah, so if you like the exercise I'm about to, like, lay down, you can email me again at info@punchlifeback.com, and I can send you the worksheet if you want to do it on your own later. So the first step to this is the premeditation of evil part. So you're going to think of something that is currently scaring you, and you're just going to like write it down so you have it front and center. And at the top of the page, you're going to write what if and then like ... and you're going to create 3 columns. And the columns are define, prevent, and repair. So the idea here is that you start by doing that brainstorm dump of worst case scenarios, and that's the define it. So you're going to define what the absolute worst things that can happen to you are, and you don't want to stop brainstorming until you're confident that you've written down every single nagging worry that you have. Yes, I'm sure she does. Yeah, so just want to like totally, like, you want to get wild with this. The wilder the better, because your brain is probably actually having those thoughts even if you're not aware of them. And then it starts to get interesting, because then the prevent column happens, right? And that's where you're going to list all of the ways you can think of to prevent or at least lessen the likelihood of each of the worst case scenarios. So already what we're doing here, ow, I just hurt myself. Grr. Why did I do that? Oh no. So what we're basically doing here is we have tons of fears. Some of them are justified. Most of them aren't. But chances are you're not going to know they're justified. You're not going to know which one they are or be able to convince yourself which one they are until you've put them under a microscope. And that's what this exercise does. So you're defining them and listing absolutely everything that could possibly go wrong. And then you're listing all the things you can think of to prevent that or to lessen those outcomes from happening. Oh my... Is it something Addison would say? It's hard to be your own person when there's so many amazing celebrities out there. We have like such access to them. Would she be drinking alcoholic kombucha while saying that? It was good a second ago. It's gotten a little warm, a little too warm. So once you have those 2 columns, the third column on step 1 is the repair column. And this is where you're going to, again, brainstorm all of the ways that you can repair, even if it's just a little, the worst case scenarios. So you've looked at preventing them. Now you're going to look at, okay, I tried to prevent it. It still happened. How can I mitigate the disaster? Like, what can I do to repair it? Like, who can I talk to? What strength or resource do I have that I could bring to bear? Would a little bit of money solve the problem, right? Like, just get really creative ahead of time about how you could fix or make better even just a little some of the, like, all of the worst case scenarios. I do know she would. Yeah, probably. So that's step 1, and I know it's a doozy and it could take a while. Totally worth doing, because again, it's this, you're going through, like, the Stoics are, they're concerned about what's going on in here, so they're rational and they value wisdom extremely highly. It's the primary virtue of a Stoic, and that's what you're doing. You're exercising your wisdom and strengthening your wisdom here by getting logically critical of your thoughts and applying your creativity and the best of your thinking on how to prevent and to repair. So step 2, guys, is that you want to take time, and like I'm talking 5-10 minutes or more, to really explore and list out all of the possible benefits of an attempt or partial success. So again, you're looking at the thing you're scared to do. So, you know, before I launched this business, that was a huge, scary decision I had to make, because I was, going to be a founder of a company and I was going to be in a management position and all that kind of stuff. So it was a big, hairy, audacious, scary decision. So if that was it, I would have to list out now all of the possible benefits of an attempt at the business or a partial success. And what is so cool about this is that it's a conservative assessment. It's a conservative step. You know, we're looking at the worst possible outcomes in step 1. And now we're looking at the benefits of a partial success, not a wild success. And for me, the fact that it's conservative it helps with my fear, right? Because fear is a risk issue. And if I can think, okay, if I can believe and know that I'm being conservative about the risk, that's going to help calm me down. So I thought that was really cool. And I never on my own would have thought about it. Hey, the boy Staroff 2020. Yeah, fear is crap. It totally can be crappy. Yeah, it holds me back too, all the time. So what if you're interested, since you missed like the majority of like how we're we were looking at how to master fear today, and I'm like always trying to give out like very powerful, practical tools that we can use to do this stuff. So since you've missed a lot of it, and yeah, especially like overthinking, creating scenarios, because that's totally right. Like the fear is in our heads. Like it's a thought process. So if you're interested in like what I've just gone through, send me an email, dude, at like info@punchlifeback.com and just ask about the fear episode or whatever, and I'll send you my notes because it has like the worksheet in it and everything. So happy to share that. So to dissect you, I'll put you on my table and cut you open. Yeah. So I'm 36 and I'm a life coach and I still have tons of fears. So it's just normal. It is just really, really normal. It's the human condition. We're evolutionarily speaking primed for fear. So unfortunately in our master world, in our modern world, most of the stuff we're afraid of isn't actually life-threatening, but we instinctually react to it as if it is. So what's required is that we start taking control of the thoughts that are going on through our head. And by doing that, we actually can engage with fear and lessen our fear and find our ability to move forward despite our fear. It's pretty cool. Are you asking my academic background? Because I have my undergrad degrees in political science, which is something I don't use all that much. I'm also like a certified life coach, and I've been a communications manager and stuff like that, and an actress for like 14 years. But yeah, my academic background, college, I did half of a master's degree and then didn't like the program. It wasn't what I thought it was. But that was in conflict resolution, negotiation, and peace building. So yeah. But I'm a life coach now. So that's me. So yeah, so far we're unpacking the worst case scenario, looking at how to prevent it, like coming up with ideas to prevent those scenarios, asking ourselves, if the worst does happen, what can we do to repair it, even just a little bit? And then we're listing out all the possible benefits of an attempt at what's scaring us or a partial success. So we're looking at this very logically and conservatively, right? We're not asking ourselves, oh, what are the benefits of a wild success, right? Because wild successes aren't all that likely. Yes, spiders. Yeah. So step 3, and then the exercise is over. What we're gonna do is we want to brainstorm all of the costs of not taking action. So we basically have so far done a thorough workup of everything that taking action might cost us. but we haven't looked at what not taking action would cost us too. And in order to have a fair analysis, we need that. And so you want to think about like all the emotional costs, the physical costs, the financial costs, the relationship costs, whatever kind of costs matter to you. You want to list them, and you want to do it in 3 columns. One is 6 months, one is a year from now, and then one is 3 years from now. If you go much further than 3 years, it like really tends to become too abstract and it's not as helpful. But yeah. So what are the costs of not taking action? And again, like what I love. Oh yeah, so life coaches do totally typically have specializations. We're all trained as generalists. So if you have a coach from a really good coaching school, and this is the thing, like, okay, now I'm getting on my soapbox because you don't need to have any sort of license to be a life coach. So absolutely anybody can say that that's what they do and they can practice it. So it's hard for a user, right, to qualify a coach. One of the ways is to look at their credentials and to see if they're certified, because there is a credentialing organization that has a pretty strict standard, and that's the ICF. So if you're gonna like look for a coach, I recommend that. But yeah, so the really good coaching schools totally are like they teach you the method you learn as a coach can coach anybody around any topic, and that's very, very true. However, they do specialize, and they do it usually because you have to in order to stand out in the marketplace. And it's also awesome to have somebody who knows a whole lot about something, in your corner. So yeah, my specialization is in resiliency, which is why I'm all about exploring how we live fearlessly and punch back when life knocks us down, right? So I am a resiliency coach. And that just basically is my methodology for, I don't know if methodology is the right word, but it's without resiliency, we just don't show up in life in a way that's sustainable over the long period of time we need in order to live the life we want. Like I see resiliency as a super, super important thing, maybe the most important thing. And that's why I'm focused on the brain, because so much of our resiliency, it's all the thoughts we have and that we say to ourselves. So it's all a mental game, really. Yeah, but that's me. That's my specialty. And they did. Every single life coach in the entire world hates spiders. That's all they do. They just brainwash other people to hate spiders too. It's a fact. It's a special certification you can get. Yeah. Yeah, but if you guys like this kind of stuff, like this is what I do on Thursdays. I always have some sort of life coaching exercise or perspective on a topic that affects us all. So today it's fear. Last week it was about having like really awesome relationships. I just do all kinds of things, like whatever's inspiring to me or whatever you guys like ask for that I like go, ooh, that's so cool. I do. So if you like that, just follow me. I do this every Thursday and you'll be notified, and you can watch the videos later if you don't, catch me live. But I mean, I'm here because I love connecting with people, and I particularly love people on Twitch. I think like Twitch, like, it's another soapbox of mine. I just the like social media in general can be like such a crapshoot, and like such like it like promises connection but doesn't actually give it. I think Twitch is the exception, that it actually connects human beings to each other in a really cool way. So yeah, I'm here because I like you guys. Thank you. That is so sweet. I mean, you're telling me Christina Applegate and Jennifer Aniston, I should be their stunt double. I mean, that's a compliment in and of itself. So, man, you are warming me up. I'm going to do my happy dance again. Why do I have to embarrass myself? Why can't I just stream? Why? Yeah, so that's my little coaching soapbox. But so kind of like to wrap this exercise up for you guys, like, again, why I love it And why, when I saw Tim Ferriss like do his TED Talk on it, I like my jaw dropped and I was super excited, is because it, one, right, helps us determine if our fears are justified and whether or not we should listen to them. Because knowing that is a challenge, because we get emotionally triggered and then we don't think too logically. This helps us like calm our emotions down, get it all on paper, and have a super logical conversation with ourselves in a very powerful way and in a very short amount of time. And absolutely any human being is capable of doing this. So super, super cool. Two, when they aren't worthy of our respect and they're a paper tiger fear, right? There's no real teeth behind it. There's no life-threatening danger there. This exercise gives us like a level-headed and conservative analysis that we can use to motivate ourselves into action instead of that avoidance, courage-killing reaction. So it motivates us into action. And like more than that, we have an actual plan, right? Like we know if X actually happens, then I'm going to do Y. And if Y still doesn't prevent it, then I know how to repair it. Like, I've never been that detailed about my fears. And I cannot, like, when I end today, I'm going to be doing this for myself because I can't wait to have that much of a plan in place. Yeah, it's going to be, I just, like, everything I know about life coaching says this is going to be super helpful. Yeah, but like this is what I do. This is just chatting. Just chatting. So, cool. So yeah, with that tool, there's actual hope, right? For us to master our fear and thus our destiny. Thank you. And really like I am ending this. I promise. I just want to rework that opening definition of fear, because it doesn't need to be defined in a way that like robs us of our courage and leads us to inaction. Instead, like I invite all of us to start thinking of fear as an opportunity to engage with the stuff that really matters to you in your life. Because fear is almost always an indicator, like a huge spotlight of what's important to you. Otherwise you wouldn't care and you wouldn't be afraid. So it's just an opportunity to engage.